Today is April the 28th, 2025, and I'm just waking up. I hate that they took the duration off of my videos, off my live. It used to have duration. It's supposed to be there to show you how long you have been on live, but they took that off. Today is, like I said, hold on, I'm trying to upload it. April 28th, 2025, and I just woke up. I'm getting ready to go out and handle some business. I was intended to get up a lot earlier. I'm not sure if my alarms went off or not. I didn't hear them. But either way, I went to sleep, and I just went to sleep. I didn't really sleep with the intent on getting back up. I did, but I didn't. I didn't. If I got up, I got up. It's not anything I wanted to do, like super early, but it would have been good if I did get up and get out early. I have noticed that the majority of the issues go on early morning between like 6 and 9. And I really don't think they like for me to be up there early, moving around. For whatever reason. So my alarms rarely go off. I woke up to a Roku pull from Cash App at 5:23 a.m. That's weird because it pulled as soon as I went to sleep, and we already know Cash App is a swap, so it's like, it's a long story with that, but it pulled as soon as I went to sleep. So it's like I'm paying for a service, a camera they won't even let me use. And they won't let me use Roku because the dude that was staged in this room was the pet and the link, but really it was another camera somewhere else. So, but it was the visual from, he was providing the visual for a different location. So when Joe said for him to leave, they turned the camera off as if he left on the day that Joe cut the internet. And they haven't let Roku come back on. I got my own hotspot, but Roku will not connect to it. And it's got a 2.4 gigahertz connection, and they still won't let it connect. And it's because of the network interference with the phone not being what it should be. So when it scans for the network or to connect, it's not connecting like it should. So that is what's going on. Yesterday, I slept past this point and got up at 3. I woke up yesterday about 8 or 9 and went back to bed about 9:30 or whatever after I wrote in my journal that I had woke up, and then didn't wake back up to 3. So today I'm up at 12:26. So what went on, actually I woke up about a few minutes before 11. Actually, was it? No, a few minutes before 12. So whatever went on between this time and yesterday is where it's at. So I left yesterday. I didn't leave the house until um, about 6, after 6, to go get me something to eat and come right back. So today it is like you're in somebody else's gap almost. It's weird. Um, I'm definitely not going to talk a lot about this today because I have to go and get some stuff done. I'm going to file my taxes for 2024 at some point, and then I have to file. Um, I don't know if I have to file it, but I think it was over $600, so I just go ahead need to do it just in case. I'm gonna do 2022, even though I really don't agree with the amounts, for the record, that is on my IRS transcript, because I got the pay stub in my photos and it's a different amount, and I know I only worked there like a couple of days. So I'm just trying to figure out how did it get to. I mean, it's not a lot more, but it's different, and it's making me think that that's a different amount from somebody else. Um, and maybe that's where we got a problem, because I noticed the same thing with Popeyes. Popeyes W-2 is about $100 or $200 more when I got the pay stubs. So, I need to go back and just look at that and just see. But really, does it really matter? No, I'm going to still have to do that anyway. Um, so, I'm going to have to do that anyway. To file, so that is what I am going to do. Um, I'm going to file my taxes. I'm going to check on some things that I need to get done. Um, I woke up with a little pain right here, which is weird. I didn't have anything really discomfort when I went to bed, and I woke up with a little pain right here. And I interacted with I had 2 Diet Cokes, and they were connected together. Yesterday I came back home, they were not connected together on the little thing that hold them. And I wasn't going to drink them because they've been in the refrigerator, but I did, and they tasted nasty. I ended up pouring it out. And so probably it had something to do with that. Because I definitely don't drink or eat out of the refrigerator. Primarily, for the most part, I don't. If it's been in the refrigerator overnight. Today I don't really have a lot to get into. When I went to sleep, my dreams were just all weird. I dreamed Nika was cooking a big dinner, and I was talking to Aunt Tassie about, different things, and then I dreamed that there was superheroes in the mall saving children. It was super weird, but that was kind of cool that it was heroes, like, really big, heroes saving children. That was nice. But my dreams weren't, you know, how they normally are. But either way, I got up, and I had to turn back on my Facebook Live. My TV is still on the same image it was on last night, so that's good. I don't know if the time has been changed, but that's good. Um, I don't really have any complaints today. Today I have to see if I could find a job and or find a place to live and find um, some help. I'm not gonna lie, it is a faith challenge because all of the information I'm looking at online is old. I meant to get up to listen to the Steve Harvey Morning Show. Maybe that's why I they didn't let me get up, or I didn't get up because I wanted to look at that. I don't get any. They won't let me have any current events. So it's I think that is terrible abuse to put somebody in somewhere and won't let current news play. They turn everything off with the date. TMZ has a date on it. It tells you the date from the live date. They took all of the dates off the TV. No dates are not on anything. So that you never know what the date is because they're always changing the dates. Nothing, no program plays a date. No program. I don't care, even if it's a Today Show. Like, they put wrong dates on TV all day and play old news and old recaps from different TV shows, especially Sherry Shepherd. It's just bad with Sherry Shepherd. It's horrible. And they had, like, I'm crazy and don't know, they had T.I.'s son as a baby. And that boy is, like, almost probably 17 years old. And they put it all over the TV and all over the phone so that they're recording that as if you really don't know what the date is. And so it definitely is concerning when it comes down to the time and date. And so I just reference that a lot because that is what's happening, and it's horrific to know that you could do that with technology to keep someone in a time span, in a time year, to where they're surrounded with content that is outdated. And I actually think, outside of myself, I really think that is not just with me. I think that is with the entire African American culture. That unless you have money and resources to just know better, that to a certain degree or extent, when it comes down to wealth management and information, the entire culture is outdated. We're not living to our fullest potential. So I don't think that that's necessarily a me thing. I think I think that is a cultural deficit that as an African American, I think that we all face it and are behind the times and are not up to date when it comes down to resources and information that is intentionally kept from the culture to keep us in a state of complacency. So when it comes down to looking at the TV, it's degrading. It's embarrassing. I can't believe somebody would do that, and so I'm definitely saying something about it. To say that or do that to try and make someone mentally ill. Or to make a narrative seem true. And that's horrible because that is exactly what happened. If I turn on my TV right now, it doesn't play any content from this year. And because of the presidency, a lot of his news is old from his prior term in which he was the president. I get a lot of COVID news um, a lot of 2001, 2022 ads that show, but absolutely nothing in this year, in this time. Nothing. It is all old. Um, and they don't let me see anything with a date, any news. So I wanted to listen to the Steve Harvey Morning Show, and I wanted to look at, see if I could find a live news channel that's not from another state, um, to hear current events, because that is something, information that you should know. Um, if I was to go and take a psychological, they would, ask you what's the date. And then the next question is, I'm going to give you 5 words, and I'm going to come back and ask you what those 5 words are. And they're going to be 5 random words, and it could be shampoo, lotion, antacids, gain, and perfume. And you have to come back in a few minutes and say shampoo, lotion, antacids, gain, and perfume. And I'm looking at them, and so I just said what I saw. And so they'll come back in a few minutes after they're talking, and they'll ask you what those 5 words. And the goal is for you to at least, they want you to hit all 5, but you're still passing if you can do 3 to 4. And so they'll ask you what current events. Give me a couple of current events that's going on in the world. And they'll ask you who the president is. And then they'll ask you like a general, psychological question. It could be, so tell me what's going on today. And to see how you form your sentences and see how articulate you are, or if there's any challenges. And typically, if there is a breakdown of some sort in your cognitive abilities, you will show some signs during this series of testing. And it's not as fast as I just said it, it's conversational. So they're getting a chance to talk with you to see where you are mentally, because if you're not all there, or if there's something wrong, then there will be some type of cognitive impairment at this time. Whether it's on the word replay, or whether it's on your current events, or if it's in what's going on today. It will be something that doesn't add up. Now, sometimes you get someone that is won't show signs in that, and that will be, able to pass that, but it's something more, and usually this is where you get into, is it psychological, or is it, a traumatic experience, or is it, situational, or, what is the findings of it? And sometimes it cannot show that is because it's nothing wrong. Sometimes your trauma or your issues mentally can be strictly situational, as are mine. It's nothing wrong with me. My life is bizarre, not because I have a mental health condition, but it is because I am going through a level of oppression because of a complaint that I filed. And so I have chose to live this way because it was the only thing that I knew to do. And I felt that technology had advanced in such a way that I didn't believe you can set me up with it because the robot is too smart. And so I didn't, whereas someone else might not understand that cliche or that statement, I think it's profound. You can't set me up with a phone that gives you all of the areas on where the setup occurs. So basically, you can't travel my sim if you're going to come back and tell me where the sim was. So that is what I mean. So you can't say, I'm going to take your eSIM and travel it and change the date, but then I'm going to collect the evidence from that period and come back and introduce it. Because I'm seeing how it's made and how it's done. And so I chose to use technology in a sense against itself for that purpose, because I was being set up that way. And so since I was being set up that way, the only thing for me to do was record and to document what my life was like. And then hopefully someone would see the errors, and that did happen. But did they care enough to stop it? No, because this is a normal process, and in some states it's more normal than others. And not to really make any enemies today, but in to me, it seems that it is more relevant in states that have higher cases of enslavement or systemic racism, is where more operations like this occur. And I do, for the record, think that Georgia is a slave state. I do. I believe that it is. It's too many prisons here, and there's no education in the prisons. And when you see that form together, it proves what I'm saying, rather than make a wild allegation like that and don't have the supporting facts to go along with it. Anytime you have a large amount of incarcerated individuals without a system of promise or opportunity, it is more than likely stemming from issues with systemic racism. And it's fine for people to say that every day and to know that, but to take to a platform and actually want to make change is when you start to have some oppression, and you start to experience a little hate or a little resistance. It is a good word. But as long as you say it in your conversation and you can talk to your friends about it and sip lemonade, then you're not a threat, or you're not likely to change anything. But when you start to publicly take an opinion for it, or a poll in that regards, or bring awareness to an issue that really doesn't want to be confronted, is when you start to have issues. And I come from a family that is riddled with different products of systemic racism, all the way back to my uncle that was incarcerated, that my mom took me to see when I was a child. And now to think back about that, it was traumatizing. Hearing him say what his life was like as a black male and how he was treated in this white prison, and what his days were like. And I remember it to this day, and to think about it is traumatizing. And so to come forward in the present and see that my son is incarcerated, and my nephew is incarcerated, and my other nephew is incarcerated. And why are they incarcerated? Because of his mom. And no one else wants to say that, but I did. And even before I was a product of oppression, I to the news, and that probably made it, probably did not. I swear I was making waves and did not even know that I was making big problems for myself. And that was because when he was arrested in, I think it was 2010, somewhere in there, or no, 2008, 2009, I went to the news and did a sit down. And Channel 12 WRDW came to the house, and I spoke out about him. I was upset because, once again, I don't really know how to say this without just saying it, but because I don't mean anything about it, but it's true. Once again, he was a product of Gwanda's environment. Gwanda went and got him out, and the next day they put him in jail. And had he stayed where he was, he would not be in jail today. But because he was Sharon's son, and she was filing federal complaints at that time, they went, and while he got out, and when he got out, he went to jail. And the very next day, and I remember the conversation to this day of the tracks that were used in his case. I was there. This is not hearsay. I was there. I was there when they were talking to him and making the tracks that are in that motion of discovery, that are in that case today. And so I know for a fact he was put there because of that. But does that mean anything? No. And he's sitting there. And once again, he has one of these old victims that nobody has seen. But saying that, people get angry. But is it true? It's true. It's true. Albert, my nephew, had never had sex in his whole life. I would seriously doubt it. He was on highly medicated. If anybody was to ask, being on certain mental health medications, you can't even, have an erection most of the time. More or less, be violent to the point of rape. And the whole thing was bizarre, and it was so close to what they say that my son did. You took a old victim on a run to get money. I mean, just link the narratives. Both old victims, both were just in these innocent places, and someone came up and demanded you to get in a car and drive. I mean, it just to me, if it depends on what perspective you're looking at it. If you're looking at it from that side to put a charge on someone that's not true, then the variables are there if you put them there. But if you're looking at it from a perspective that I am, that why was this male targeted? What was the allegations? The allegations were that she was raped in a jail and impregnated, and they cut her finger off and all of this other stuff. And so that led to that point. So now moving into what I'm saying, I think with me, I just have, the level of trauma that, like I said, is situational, but it sparks a lot of, how do I want to say it? It brings out a lot. It brings out a lot. For example, when I started this, I'm talking about the TV and how insane that is to do that to somebody, to play all old news, to put jobs online where you have to apply for old jobs that you already applied for. And they put them back like you don't know that. And then really sit there and look at it like you're not supposed to have anything to say. That is what is like so outrageous to me. They don't want you to have anything to say. Slavery. Slavery. I mean, I looked at that last night and was like, are you kidding me? The same job at the same time in which you applied 2 years ago. And we're just going to redo it. And then we'll get you to talk to the same people that you talked to 2 years ago. And we'll bring the same phones and we'll say the same things that we did 2 years ago. And then if you say anything about it, we're going to kill you. Like, that is like where it is every day of my life. And I have to say that. I have to say that because I have to. I have to say that. I cannot be afraid to say that. I have to say that because that is what my life is like. That I get death threats all day long. Even if they're not real death threats, it's enough it's in the death category. Or we're talking about death. You know, whether it's staging drugs based on movies, and then having someone to back up the narrative. And then you just sit and watch this, and they don't want you to say a word. Don't. And you better not write it either. And don't think it either. So don't think it, don't write it, and you better not say it. I think that's slavery. And so I have to say that. I have to say what is going on. I have to do that because it's important. I have gotten this far with documentation and with writing. I mean, I think if you were to really look at the brilliance of what God did or what He allowed, look at how many people, they're not going to say it, but I'm telling you, look how many white people that are in prominent positions that look at my lives to listen to what I'm saying. And they agree. They know she's telling the absolute truth. Do they want to do anything? No, because nobody wants to talk about slavery. They like it when I act like it's not going on and we talk about green, I do green laws, so they could get ideas. And then all they're going to do is take their ideas and put them with their companies and do them and then backdate it and do like they did the other day with the movie The Ultimate Gift. And take exactly what God gave me sitting in a truck where I wrote it down, the entire plan. They did an entire script in a movie, put it as a suggestion, and watch. And a white man stood up there and did the entire, word for word. And they put the movie that it was 2013. And God gave me, well then, I'm going to still say that even if that was the case, I prophesied the movie. Either way, I'm going to turn it into a miracle. Well, I prophesied the movie then. If they say, well, Donald Trump is the presidency, well, is the president, well, didn't I prophesy that in California? Because it's all in my journals. If they want to say that Tesla is where it is, didn't I prophesy that he would have the most money in the world? So either way you look at this, I still prophesied it and it happened. And God told me. So I think that is where some of the another part of the opposition comes from, or the oppression comes from, not opposition, the oppression comes from, because I do believe that God has put me in this position for this purpose. He was not down with slavery. We know that because He told the children of Israel that was a big part of the Old Testament. A large chunk of it was about Moses delivering those people. So it wasn't a quick process, but they went through some challenges trying to get the people to be free. And so when I first came into this, just like when the law looks at something, they say, all right, we're going to build this. Well, I did the same thing and said, I see slavery. And I think that this is going to come out to be a win for African Americans because I see slavery. I see slavery all over this. The plot is slavery. If you look at the plot, to make somebody work, to make my husband work as me and link the banks and move that person into that profile or role, and then use other people like Nakia Powell, Tiana Conway, all of these different Mikes and Christian, and to put them in various roles and give them phones and give them cards and go out and work or just go take a picture somewhere and come back and we'll link it all. That is a brilliant master. But that's a master's plan. Because nobody would think of that. Why would you want somebody to work for free? Or to work and they never worked? To incur a debt. But they never worked. That's a master. Because what did a master do? You work, but you're not getting paid. So you go to work. Even when you're in this house on live, you're out working right now. Because this video, all of this is none of this is what it is. So you are out working, but you're not working. But somebody is out with this tablet right now with that number because the number is old. The number to this tablet goes to a bank. And they give it out willingly because they want you to get to that point in your brain where you say, oh, that shock, that trauma. Because if not, then why would you just not make the number 1111 and then just link it in the back where the person don't know? Because they want you to know. Look at the number that we gave you, and it's old. And it's on your tablet, but it's on our phone. And it's set to a phone, and that's why you hear Metro, when I call, describe it and put it on there like it's a phone, but it's a tablet. And it's backdated to a whole different year in which you did not even have it. And they don't care that you know that. Now, what law enforcement would do that with full intent that the person is aware and has made a police report of this? What law would say, or what state would say, but we're going to do it anyway? With having a full-on awareness that the person is aware, they have reported it, they have given all of the elements to a clear win. If you was to take her IP addresses keep changing, the phone, the time, none of the house has no. Now can we state evidence? The house has no dates and times in here. When it is a holiday, they don't put up any decor. They did Christmas decor in January. They don't, nobody talks about any timely events. Nobody has birthdays. Nobody has family. Everybody has deceased kids and these different bizarre events that all of these different people are around you seem to share at some point. and nobody thinks that's weird. But you can form an insanity narrative and say that somebody's old and this by using media to manipulate it, which further causes mental injury if you want to go that route. And you say that too. And it doesn't stop. So then you say, then now you know why I call it a slave state. Now, somebody might say, then wouldn't you move and go to another slave state? Because all it matters is the oppression won't stop. That you will just get, probably won't get as abused. You won't get certain things. Or certain, but it's gonna still have it where you're able to live your life in peace? Probably not. Yeah, you'll. I'll put it this way. Lord, forgive me for saying that. You'll be praying for it. You'll be waiting on the manifestation that's supposed to be because the law says so. But this is what you'll be praying for. Just like other people pray to be healed from diseases, you'll be praying for freedom. So when it comes down to this, I'm only talking because I'm intentionally waiting on a time period to pass. When it comes down to this, you can do whatever you want. But I think that it's just some people in positions in Georgia that shouldn't be. I said it. And I think that I have to say what happened, just like I'm going to say that I know that God is still with me. Now, how do I know that? Because He tells me every day. Every day I pick up my Bible, I turn to a confirming word that He's with me. He told me last night, I watched T.D. Jakes. I don't know if it's old or not, but so I watched T.D. Jakes, a replay, and the replay of his Sunday live service was too quick. So the service is probably not new. I wouldn't know. But his service never plays immediately after it's over. It goes to something's wrong and the done sign, and you got to click that, and then the broadcast is over, and then you have to wait on it to come back live again, or you to watch the replay. And typically that is not until, normally, from what I've seen on my TV, it's not available until 6 to 7 hours after. The only person I've ever seen that has an instant replay of their service is Joel Osteen. I've never seen anybody else that streams live, and then once that live is over, it's available for you to watch it back to back. Only person I've ever seen that is Joel Osteen. And I thought that was just because he has so many viewers and followers that content is generated differently because there's a demand for it. But all of my stuff is messed up, so I wouldn't know what is how it really supposed to be or not, because all of my stuff is conditioned with malicious intent. All of my streaming, commercials, YouTube ads, everything goes to somebody else's phone, is generated from someone else's digging or what they did, and is all date or time stamp and based related. For example, even on Pandora, I get, do you need childcare? Like, even when you turn on the TV, we have this childcare coming available. And then when you turn on YouTube, you want YouTube or YouTube Kids, and it's never done that before. Then when you turn on the live, go there. Then we have kids. I want these carrots for breakfast. And then why am I getting all of this kid and diaper content? Because that is what is over there on Dunlap. Could it be the girl in the witch's room with the little boy that was using your phone? Or who was around you in April of 2024? Wasn't it the girl that lives in room A? Didn't she have the Nissan Sentra that's gray that was rented from down the street? Wasn't she in the domestic violence relationship? Isn't that a big deal? Which is why, again, going to say, go and be me over at Safe Homes and let them give you some. You're not going to get any assistance. They just want you to move in that direction, because you're going to feel all of these different people that you told us about because we don't like what you said. So we're going to make you all of these different people by putting you in scenarios that you have to move in this direction. And then we'll sit back and say, look at how we're controlling her. Not control like you think, but control in slavery. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like that they look at it that way. They think it's control with witchcraft. No, that's control with slavery. The way they got those algorithms and those biometrics locked down on my phone, and that you only pull up this route for MARTA because they want you on this bus that goes in this state, because everybody that come around you is coming from this location, that all of those Craigslist ads are coming from this time period. You have a person that works at this funeral home in this state, but drives a truck in this state. Well, where was that truck at? Was that truck not down the street at the bank? And when you say any of that, they get angry. But it's slavery. And it's taxpayers' money. And they definitely don't like it when I say that. But is it true? Absolutely. Who's paying for this? Taxpayers. And they think we're paying to get people off the street. But what kind of people are you paying to get people off the street? People that are opinionated? When President Biden said that's what makes us a democracy. Opinions. America has opinions. Everybody here. White people get paid millions of dollars to go on late night TV and say their opinions. A white man broke his whole hand on live talking about Donald Trump and how pissed he was about him, and smashed his entire hand into a mug, and they applauded him. Great job! His views went up. He did awesome. And he's talking about the president. She's on live. Doesn't have this platform that he has, and is talking about her own life, and she get death threats. But they think that we don't have need for change. Of course we do. Of course we do. We have plenty of room for change. So last night I'm looking at TD Jakes, and I hear he's giving he's making moves to relax more so he can preserve his health. And so I open my Bible, and once it goes off, and I'm praying, and the Lord gives me the exact same thing that T.D. Jakes had, that he said, and I appointed you to build the kingdom. And so you watched him appoint his daughter, and I'm appointing mine. And I cried. And it was I think it was on the 6th or the 12th. It was on the 12th. It was 4:53. It was 4:53 a.m. And God gave me that, and I cried. Because it was, once again, I'm affirming you to do what I want you to do. And he said, ask whatever you want in my name, and I will do it. Whatever is plaguing the world. He told me last night, and I wrote it down at this time. He said, there is not one thing or one problem I won't solve through you if you ask in my name. And so I was asking away. I prayed for St. Jude. I did every task, like every one of my tasks that he's given me. I was asking away, like while he was on the phone last night. I'm like, in my heart, like I was talking to God, and I was asking for okay, and then can we do this, and can we do this, and this, and this, and we need power, and can we, and can you show this and show me this, and I was like going through the whole process, and I felt so good about that. I still feel good about that. I still feel good about what my objective is. Doesn't mean that you're going to get this opposition, but this is why he told me to utilize what I have. What you have is your voice. Use that. Because everything else has been taken. They've taken away your ability to work. They don't want you to have a job. Because you'll look skilled and professional and smart. Even on a mediocre job like McDonald's, you can still have skill and show, growth, and they don't want you to look like that. So they don't want you to have a job. So if you don't have a job, it looks like you're more prone to committing crimes, and are these different malicious characters that are intentionally placed around. So in that regard, if you just keep saying what I said, so then saying what God said, I believe in everything God has told me. It's almost time for me to get dressed. It is time for me to get dressed. I believe in everything that God has told me. Nothing God has told me has proven to be false in all of this time, because everything that he's told me, he sends the same message. Even if it's overlaid, it's the same message. if the if his word says, when my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and go through the channels, he said, I will fix their problems. I will heal their land. And I'm sorry, in layman's terms, I do not think that God would allow me to get to this point and have this platform and he want to talk about systemic racism only. I don't think that's the plan. I don't see that. What I see is an opportunity for God to get the most glory ever. And I believe that in this case, using my life, I think that is exactly what he's going to do. In fact, I can almost bet on it. That's exactly what he's going to do. Get the glory out of it. And this is why he made me smart in a way that I wasn't. I was not smart enough to understand certain things because I wasn't interested. And I got interested in the phone because I watched what was being done to me and didn't know how it was being done. And they wouldn't let me get the information on how it was being done. I couldn't go to Geek Squad. I couldn't go to an investigator. They wouldn't allow them to tell me nothing. So I asked God, and he told me, your SIM is being used. You're electronically cloned. Go and tell them this. And I went and said exactly what God told me in the terms that he said it. Had I used the terms that are appropriate, they would have definitely given me a false educational degree. So he didn't equip me with the words, but I'm giving you the data so that when you go to explain this, you will look exactly how I want you to look, and what will help you. Because I'm saying, just like the children that go and they tell them how their parents abuse them, I'm talking exactly that same way to law enforcement at this very moment. And this is how they put stuff together. And whenever I go to a bank, they take 2 computers and they put that the computers don't go to the bank. And they put 2 computers right here and they have them plugged in together. And this person is here. And then when I went and I saw this here, and then when I went over here, this person was doing this. They know what I'm saying. Because they know what this operation is. They know. So, in that regards, God, how did she find out? God told me. Because I asked. I got tired of this phone. I hate this phone. And I asked. And so he told me. So when he told me about it, that's when I started to put 2 and 2 together. And by the time I got to Kentucky, I was pretty much, I've already cracked this case. This is what's happening. And I started to pay attention. And they say, you're being nosy. No, that's the setup. You have to know what's going on next door and across the street. And it makes you start looking at stuff you would have never looked at before. Well, ain't nobody got no numbers on no boxes by you. Okay? Who's coming in their yard every time you come in yours? You know, what is going on your phone that is going with somebody else's lifestyle? You're getting children data. Who's around you with the kid? Go back a year. Go back 2 years. What was going on? What, you was at the House of Horrors. Did they not have kitty animals in the room? They did. Go back to 2023. That was kitty animals in the room at the House of Horrors. Who was in the room April of 24? That was the girl, the witch with the little girl. Same thing. So different times, but we're building up to this. And they're telling you with a full forecast in front of you, this is what we're planning on doing to your life. And you just supposed to sit there and wait. In the name of Jesus, the devil is a liar from the pits of hell. And they want you to forecast your doom. I forecast that the FBI is going to get a letter in the name of Jesus. I forecast that every angel in heaven, God said, whatever I bind on earth is bound in heaven, and whatever I loose on earth is loosed in heaven. And I loose the spirit of equality and peace and wholeness and justice in the name of Jesus. Because he said, to whom I called, I have given power over the enemy. I have given you power over every demonic force. And all you have to do is walk in my authority, because when you speak to that evil spirit in the name of Jesus, every demon has to flee. Liars have to flee. Sorcerers have to flee. Witchcraft workers have to flee. Demonic associations have to flee. Mental illnesses have to flee. Because why? It's in the name of Jesus that we speak. That gives us the power. That gives us that authority. So you have to take what the enemy meant for harm. I'm trying to destroy you. That's what the Bible said last night. Now let's get the Bible. Let's get my thing. What did he say? I page turned it. He told me to put the page there. So I put the page there. And he said last night, what does it say? And the Lord said, Simon, I'm going to implement my name. And the Lord said, Crystal, behold, Satan have desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. The devil is a lie. I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to do that to you. I'm going to do this to you. But what did the Lord say? He said last night, but I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not, and when thou art converted, strengthen thy brother. I want you to take your strength and implement it into your culture, into people around you that I am going to have to for you to minister and to build up. I've already given you manifest what I said. Because I am the Lord that heals all disease, that speaks, and I go forth before you, and I'm working in you and for you. Turn it on back to what he said last night. What did he say? Am I not comforting you in persecution? This is what he said last night. Am I not with you right now? Am I not strengthening you? Which is a manifest token of the righteous judgment of God. Am I not manifesting myself loud and clear here? I don't care what the enemy said. I don't care what he has done. If I called you, I gave you power. Use it to overcome and overthrow every attack of the enemy. Don't let him tell you that he drove a device around. Don't let him whisper in. Don't let that evil spirit talk to you, including on the phone. Break the communication in the name of Jesus. You know these are demonic forces. Their intent, I've given you the vision to see them. Don't engage. What are you calling him for? Was he a demon last year? Yes, he's a demon this year. What are you talking to him for? Expecting a conversion? You're expecting for him to tell you that he got saved on the phone? So no, we're not doing that. That's what the Lord told me today. Stop talking to him. Then you won't hear the plots. Because they're telling you, because they know you like to write. So when you get on the phone and he said that he worked for this, you're writing from what the enemy is putting in your mind and in your vision. Cut the communication. Cut it. And speak with me so that I could get in your mind and I could get in your vision. The more you talk to that, that's not your source. You keep talking and you keep putting forth what I put in you and you keep building what I'm giving you. The works of the enemy are destroyed, Crystal. That trap is over and done with. But the enemy desires, what did he say? He desires. The Lord said last night, he desires to have you, Crystal. The devil wants to kill you. He wants to destroy your mind because you have potential. Look at your potential of what I put in you, and you will see the works of the enemy clear. Look at what I've given you to do. Look at how I've blessed you. I want you to go and turn loose my spirit in St. Jude. I want you to put that artificial church there to be the model. That's why I gave you that. I don't care what Easter said or all these other people. I put it there because that is a church and they won't be a minister there. I want people to go and hear my word 24 hours a day to take those children as they're being healed and run out of there with a miracle. That's why I want the church there. That's why I want those sermons playing over and over and over and over again. I want that there. Because they need to hear the word. They're coming in one way and they're leaving another way. I want you to establish and to build these affordable housing units all over. I'm equipping you with the knowledge to be an architect, to build and draw as I've given you. I'm equipping you with new banking procedures. I'm giving you wisdom for batteries and battery plants and to get that battery out of that phone. I'm giving you equipment and technology for artificial farms that produce way faster and healthier. They're not having all of this stuff sprayed all over it. So I'm giving you this because I'm changing the world through your mouth, through what you're saying. And as you do it, these people are going to start to just come together, just like energy, and they're going to form one body. And that's what I'm looking for, because I'm coming back. He said he's coming back for one church. And that's because it represents the whole body. And in Revelations, he went through each church telling them what's wrong. And in these churches today, God is still saying, is something wrong? I got a problem with it. So I want you to just say it. Because you can't be for God and not care about the people. You can't be for God and not care that people out here don't have nowhere to stay. Because if you know that they don't have nowhere to stay, then you know they're vulnerable to the enemy. They're vulnerable to prostitution. They're vulnerable to drugs. They're vulnerable to alcohol. They're vulnerable to sex trafficking. They're vulnerable to crime. So how can you love God and you see that person sitting on the side of the road with nowhere to go and say you love God? You can't love God, but you have a form of godliness. That's a form of godliness in you, that you think you love God. You think you care about God. You think you're doing it because you're doing good, charitable things. But are you serving the Lord with your whole heart? Are you doing what it is that he told you to do? Are you making a way? Are you going before him? Are you doing what it is that he told you to do so that you're making a difference in the lives of people? This is what the plan of God is. If you don't make an impact or a change in your community, then how can you really represent God? Because where God is, there was change. There was an impact. Like T.D. Jakes said, that impact has to be there more than just that Sunday service. Yeah, they come together, but what are you coming together to do? You have to form these community outreach services and meetings. We're still coming together, but we're coming together to do this. If you got 5,000 people go to your church or send, do you know the impact in your community? We got 5,000. I can divide 1,000 into each region of Atlanta, and wow, we will turn it up in a weekend. And I'm gonna give a vacation, or I'm gonna give a gift to the person or the group that does the most, with how many you fed and how many you did this, and each one is going to do random acts of kindness, or but that was really our Whole Life Ministries. But you're going to do, go out and feed. You know how many people will show up for a hot dog? Everybody loves hot dogs. And you go out and take 3,000 or 4,000 hot dogs and some chips and get some Christian music out there and go to the block where these people are hungry and ain't had nothing to eat. And these kids are waiting there. What can that do? What is that doing? That's letting them wake up and see God. Oh God, I didn't know how they was going to eat. And one girl is probably in her house saying, the food stamps don't come to Tuesday. And it's Friday and they ain't got nothing to eat. But, ooh, I heard the church going to be there. And they got all these kids things down there. I'm going to go take them. And end up giving her life to the Lord. All because she needed food stamps. And she went down there and she ate. And her kids played. And they ate. And then they saw God. It's about seeing the Lord. You could say whatever you want to say. But the action got to be there. You got to know. And you got to be able to say it. You got to be able to say it. You got to be able to show it. And it'll show in your action. It'll show in your actions. What do you see? So, with this being said, I have definitely overtalked my time. I have been on here for a few minutes, an hour. But that's my hour of power. And I'm going to close this by saying that God has given us as the church power to make a difference in the community, to make a difference in our homes, in the lives of people, in the lives of our children, in the lives of those around us. He has called us to make a difference. And we are to be that difference. We are to stand up for what matters in the kingdom of God. The world campaigns for everything of its own. And what more should we do as children of God? What more should we be campaigning for? What more should we be doing? What more? And I believe that God said, He told me last night, He will pour out His Spirit, He said, on all flesh. And people will just start seeing it. Why? Because He's going to return. But what do I want to start happening? I want people to see me. And that's when these signs and wonders are going to start happening. So, that is my live for today. I am about to go get myself together. Get myself done. Get myself ready to go out for the day. I have my little list that I have compiled of things to do. And I'm going to do that. So, yep, I'm going to do that. And I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to end my Facebook Live, but I'm going to be still on YouTube Live because I got to make some calls before I go. Talk to you later. Bye.